On this channel, we've already explored some of the heroes who went bad on us, but what about the times when the bad guys turned good? There are a bunch of them out there, but here are 10 that I think are the most interesting and impactful in their own ways. At number 10, I'm putting Hawkeye. Introduced first as a circus performer, Hawkeye starts his career as not much of a hero at all, but a villain. When he first decides to put on the suit and start going by the Hawkeye moniker, he teams up with Black Widow and takes on numerous heroes as a bad guy. After he and Black Widow fall in love, they become committed to this lifestyle for 2 whole years. But after his time as a crook, Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, decides it's time for him to change things up. Basically, he just realizes that the supervillain lifestyle isn't for him and approaches the Avengers with the proposition that he joins them. Pretty bold. But they actually accept his offer and he seamlessly joins the team and fights evil for the rest of his career. It's a pretty quick and easy transition to the good side, and it proves that it's not always some big event or reckoning that can change someone's moral alignment. Sometimes you just gotta go with your gut. At number 9 is the Riddler. This is a pretty goofy one because the Riddler makes this shift to the good side due to a bonk on the head by Shining Knight, which I think is a very funny way to turn to the good side. Not only does he decide he's finished with a life of crime, but he also loses his interest in riddles entirely. And with his memory of all his past deeds wiped, he's able to start completely anew as a detective on the streets of Gotham. With a bit of an infamous celebrity status, as you could expect, Detective Riddler has a decent career as a detective and is even hired by Batman and Nightwing twice along the way. A Riddler with no interest in riddlers or doing harm, I suppose, just leaves a pretty smart dude who can get stuff done. He still wears all green though, which probably isn't great for blending in. At number 8 is Sandman. Yes, believe it or not, Sandman has actually been part of the Avengers before. One night, the Thing from the Fantastic Four actually sits Sandman down at a bar and tries to talk him out of his life of crime over a beer, and it works. After this, Sandman joins up with the Outlaws, which is a team of villains that are searching for a different path in life, which I imagine is like the AA for supervillains. And after actually helping Spider-Man on a handful of missions, Sandman actually receives a presidential pardon and is offered a spot with the Avengers. But unfortunately, with a little bit of lazy writing, Wizard later uses his magic to brainwash Sandman and turn him back to his evil roots. Reverted back to his previous state, Sandman brings the Sinister Six back together and tries to take down Spider-Man again. But for that short time, it was a great storyline of redemption for a character that really felt like he deserved a second chance. Alright, at number 7, we've got Rogue. This is a pretty cool one. Originally brought on by Mystique to join the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, Rogue is only a teen when she chooses the path of evil. But the way she gets out of her dark ways is pretty unique and makes a lot of sense, all things considered. During a battle with the Avengers, Rogue absorbs the powers of Carol Danvers, or Miss Marvel at the time. But instead of losing these borrowed powers after a while, which is normally how Rogue's abilities work, Carol Danvers' powers and even her memories stick around. With this hero's thoughts in her head, she goes to Professor X to try to clear them out using his help, and this visit is when she becomes friendly with Charles Xavier, eventually joining the X-Men. At number 6, we have Harley Quinn. First appearing in the Batman the Animated Series, she has only grown in popularity over the years as one of DC's most popular villains. And considering she started as a partner to Joker, it's big news that in her current lore she's known to have flipped over to the good side. Her and the Suicide Squad have even teamed up to defeat the Joker, which is a major moment for the character who has otherwise been seemingly under the control of Joker for most of her villainous career. And what's more, Harley now works as a psychiatrist outside of fighting crime, with intentions of helping people on and off the job as a superhero. At number 5, we've got MODOK Superior. This dude is a bit of a weirdo and probably one of the last villains you'd expect would go to the good side. Mainly just because he looks so inherently evil. I mean, no offense. Maybe it's the robotic spider legs or even the shit-eating grin he's always got on. Okay, I guess that's just straight up offensive, but lo and behold, it is true. MODOK stands for Mechanized Organism Designed Only for Killing, which is hilarious and initially strikes me as an inherently evil name, but I guess killing could also be done on the bad guys, right? Well, apparently so, because during the Secret Avengers storyline, MODOK Superior, a clone of the original, actually joins the Avengers. I guess the bar is pretty low for entry. Sorry, that was another mean jab at MODOK. I didn't mean it. Turns out he only really joins the team because he has a crush on Maria Hill, one of the operatives in S.H.I.E.L.D. So, a turn to the good side for love. That's special. Good luck, buddy. We're rooting for you. At number 4, we have Magneto. Now, Magneto does good a few different times for various reasons, and sure, he always goes back to his anti-hero status, but these changes to the good side are substantial enough that it puts him on the front end of this list. One instance of Magneto blatantly coming to the good side is when his old friend Charles Xavier dies, and his dying wish is for Magneto to take over the school for gifted youngsters, and Magneto does it for his old friend. Another notable one is the time in X-Men Legacy issue number 237 when Sentinels are infiltrating an asteroid where Magneto is protecting the remaining mutants. And with the mutants on the brink of extinction, Magneto pulls out all the stops, bringing himself to a point of near death where he triumphantly stops the Sentinels in their tracks before finishing off the mutant race. It's not that surprising that Magneto risks it all for mutants. I mean, he's always been on their side, just with a little more resentment in his heart and questionable methods. And some even say that Magneto has always been a good guy. And I'd probably agree with that, but in some instances, it's more obvious than others. At number 3 is Deadpool. Did you know that when Deadpool made his first appearance, he was actually depicted as a villain to the X-Men in the New Mutants? He faces off against heroes like Cable and Domino, and he's only sort of himself in these early iterations. He still drops witty quips, but definitely comes off more serious and reserved than how we know him today. He also appears in issue 2 of X-Force, still as a villain, and in this instance we actually see Weapon X, or Kane, visiting Deadpool in his home country of Canada. But it's not a nice visit, of course. Deadpool is still very much a threat to the good guys at this point, and only later do the writers start to explore Deadpool further and decide that he deserves his own complex backstory and ambiguous moral compass. Thank goodness they saw his potential as an influential hero, because all the box office dollars he's turned in proves that we all do too. Okay, at number 2 we have Venom. This popular symbiote has clearly done a fair amount of time as the evil counterpart to Spider-Man, and there's no doubt that he was written originally as a bad guy. Eddie Brock and Venom have had many different run-ins with Spider-Man over the years, being labeled usually as Spidey's arch nemesis. But what's interesting about Venom, in the case of his good or evil affiliations, is that it's unclear whether or not the symbiote is inherently evil on its own, or if it's influenced by its host. Because in both cases, Venom has bonded with individuals who have been hurt by parents, or are, in the case of Brock, deeply resentful and jealous. Regardless, there have been numerous storylines, primarily starting in 1993, where Venom and Spider-Man basically have a total truce and even work together on numerous occasions. These days, it's not unheard of to see Venom going out of his way to protect innocent civilians in the line of duty. Finally, at number 1 is Punisher. I put Punisher up at number 1 because he's got to be one of the most badass superheroes of all time, and the fact that he chooses to do good is a really cool character trait, considering his look and how he carries himself. It sort of proves that the good side can even be enticing for someone as naturally dark and troubled as Frank Castle. First appearing as a villain, the Punisher is vying to seek revenge on Spider-Man, who he believes killed Norman Osborn. But after his first appearance as a villain, Castle makes it his duty to take on crime as a vigilante. He just does things his own way, through torture, extortion, and kidnapping, among other means. He just doesn't care how he gets his work done, but hey, he's still technically on the good side, regardless of how he does things. Alright, that was my list for today. Did you agree with it? Is there anything that I missed? Lay it all down in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe to Top 10 Nerd. Use social media responsibly, but follow me on Instagram to keep up with me. See you next time, and stay nerdy.